If you would all go ahead and please stand. I'm actually lucky enough to have my own pastor here tonight, Pastor John Stevens in the back, and I've asked him to give the invocation before we get started. So if you would stand and bow your head.
Let's pray. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for the blessings of liberty that you have given us in this nation. And Lord, we come before you with sorrowful hearts as to how we've turned away from your ways and from you. We just pray, Lord, that you would bless this meeting, bless the efforts of the hands that are presenting information to us tonight and fighting the battles that need to be fought. Give each of us the wisdom that we need to know our part and where we should be applying our talents and our knowledge. Help us all to learn humbly tonight. We ask that you keep everyone safe in their return home, and bless especially our speaker in the long journey that she took today. We ask all of this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
And I've asked our resident charter member, Mr. Cardoza, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We're going to get started real quickly here in a second, but before we do, a couple of things tonight that we haven't done in previous nights, if you don't mind. I've got here a current roster of our membership list and interested parties list, and we've got some bad email addresses for some of you who are members, and then we don't have emails for those of you who are not members. So we're going to go ahead and pass this clipboard around through the night, and if you could, just go ahead and, if you're on the list, check it, make sure your information is right, and if you're not on the list, please go ahead and give us your name and at least your email address so we can keep you appraised of what's going on at SRA throughout the weeks and months. How many of you got a chance to see the video that I sent around by email? A good number of you. That's probably why many of you are here. There's not a lot I can say to introduce our featured speaker tonight that would do her justice. So I would just say that there is a really good reason that Assemblywoman Shannon Grove scares the heck out of the Democratic Party, especially our establishment in Sacramento. So with that, Assemblywoman Shannon Grove.
Stand behind the table.
Go wherever you want.
Is that okay?
There's a space over there. Here.
I brought some props with me. Oh.
Denied.
Denied.
These are the band props?
Yeah, the band props. I brought those too. So just so you guys know, that's kind of a protocol. It's a protocol. Permission to speak, permission to use a prop, permission to question the author of a bill. So it's just a protocol. It's like a rule of the House. And the 8 months that I've been there, I've heard the word denied once, and that was the other day. So that was a video, and I'll get to that in just a few seconds. For those of you who don't know me, I was born and raised in Arvin. My mom was a single mom, barely graduated from high school. After high school, I joined the United States military, served overseas at Headquarters Company 5th Corps in Frankfurt, Germany. Came home. I was what they call a Cold War veteran. So I was in Berlin. Actually, I was in Berlin in Germany when the wall came down between East and West Berlin in November of 1989. Wow. And I see things, and I think about all the things that God did to prepare me for this position. And I see a guy that when the wall came down, he had no shirt on, he had baggy jeans, and he had his hand in the air, and his rib cage was showing, and his face, I can still picture his face all this time later, because that's the face of freedom coming through the wall. And if that doesn't give you guys chills up your spine, then you don't need to be here. Because bottom line is, Ronald Reagan used to say that we're one generation away from losing our freedoms. In the state of California, you are one election away from losing your freedom. And it's time to act, and it's time to act now. So I served in the military. I came home. I worked for different temporary staffing agencies, and then I started my own business down a dirt road off of Fruitvale Avenue. My brother hawked his cows. We started with $5,000, and now we have 5 offices in California, 2 in Greeley, Colorado, and we run about a $25 million a year payroll. So I kind of set myself up in the business world. I went to a chamber meeting one day and they said, are you a small business or a sole proprietorship? And I said, small business, check. They said, does somebody else sign on your checking account? And I'm like, no. Can somebody else contract loans? No. Can somebody else do this? And out of all those questions, I answered no, and I realized, oh my God, I'm a sole proprietor. I better change my direction. So I changed the direction of my company, which enabled me to be in a position to where I could leave the business for a certain length of time, and the business would still thrive and grow. So that's another thing that God prepared me for. I thought, personally, I was going to go to Africa, back to Zimbabwe, where I have an orphanage and some stuff that I do there. And then lo and behold, around December of 2009, I started what they would call, I guess, a courtship with the political world. And when it came, I'd never been in politics before. The most I ever did was vote. And if you followed the campaign, I didn't do that consistently. Okay? So the most I ever did was vote. And when this position or this opportunity came up, I was really kind of insecure about it. And what I did is, I talked to my husband, and I think my husband was thinking, boy, I hope she gets that out of her system. So I think my husband was thinking that. So we prayed about it. We fasted over it. We did a Daniel's fast for 21 days. We prayed over it. We still felt compelled to do it. So I went to meet our political consultant that's namely in our area that's very good and has a great success rate. And I said, I want to run for this assembly seat. Gene Fuller's running for the Senate seat, and I want to run for the assembly seat. And so he goes, well, I'll think about it. I think he had other candidates. Then eventually he made the phone call back to me, and we announced in February, February 25th, we announced, and on June, the June primary, we won by 78% of the vote. My husband and I, we joke about it because we were like, well, maybe God's going to open doors for me to meet a lot of people, and, that's what's going to happen. And I'm like, yeah, and then the worst case scenario, June comes, and I go back to doing what I was doing. And so 3 o'clock in the morning, we're sitting on the couch, and he goes, babe, you're going to the California State Assembly. I'm like, I know. So here we are, 8 months into this new job. And I've learned a lot. I've learned that our state is in big, desperate, dire need. And we are in a lot of trouble. And I'm hoping that coming to events like this will encourage people to rise up and take back our state. Because believe me, it's going downhill, and it is going downhill very fast. So I have some things for you. This is what we call a daily file. So, this is, and it actually says there's 4 of 4. So but I only had 3 in my car, so somebody borrowed, or, I take them places they live. So these are bills that come through on a daily basis on the floor. So this is on our desk, and believe me, and I've had them as thick as 7 thick, so you can kind of glance through those. That's a daily file. One of the things that I got in trouble for when I first got to Sacramento was my big sign that I have on my door, which is all the state boards and commissions. So you have the California Task Force for Culturally and Linguistically Challenged Dentists that we fund. That's very important. Or the state would actually go probably in a big mess if we didn't have that. There's all these state boards and commissions. I'm going to pass a list around. I'll start it up here, several pages long. You guys can kind of glance through it, but that's all these. So I put this on my door, and people are like, the speaker doesn't like your sign, Miss Grove, and I'm like, oh, okay. He says, so another person comes up and goes, did you know we told you the speaker doesn't like your sign? I'm like, yeah, okay. And, they don't know what to do with me too much because I really don't respond the way they'd like me to. So then somebody else comes up and says, Miss Grove, you were told that the speaker doesn't like your sign. I go, oh, yes, I was. And they said, well, you need to take that sign down. And I said, sure, give it to me in writing. Or sure, I said, sure. This is a couple of days later, he comes back and he goes, you can take your sign down. And I go, but you didn't say when. And I said, I'd like it in writing. So they wouldn't give it to me in writing. So then they came up, and it's on my phone, and I should get it. They came up to me, so they tried to bully me into taking my sign down, and I wouldn't do it. Then they came up, and if you go around the Capitol now, there's these square signs with this beautiful assembly seal. So I got called into rules, and they're like, Miss Grove, look at this new sign. And if you take your sign down, we'll put one of these signs up for you, and like everybody else in the building. And I go, how much does that sign cost? And he goes, well, I don't know. And I go, well, find out and get back to me. Total cost was like $518 sign and installation. I go, that's okay. I don't want that sign. So that sign is still on my door. So there have been times when we've been in a heated debate on the floor, and I've been threatened, As a matter of fact, somebody walked up, poked me in the chest, and goes, Miss Grove, that sign is coming down. And of course, tonight. And I've been on my high horse at times in that building, and I said, I swear to God, I'll call the cops if my sign disappears. So we have these debates that go on the floor with ridiculous things. Then we have serious things. Things that happen like bad bills. I know, I think they passed out a list. I'm just going to go over a few of them. I'm going to skip Leno because I'm going to talk about that at the end because I have petitions if you guys have not signed them. So you got Cedillo, AB 130 and 131, the DREAM Act, the Nightmare Act, you know. Illegals, AB 130 is already passed. That's private funding. So there's a big donor, they donate to a college, that private funding is now available by law for illegals, okay? There's a caveat in that bill and also with 131, that caveat in that bill says if your child gets denied entry to a college, because there's only so many classes, and it goes to, say there's 4 positions available and they go to 4 illegals, and you're naturally born here or you've come here the right way, and you apply to that position, and your child gets denied that because they give it to an illegal, you cannot sue the school system or the UC system. Because we asked that, we were debating them, and we said, you know, what if they sue the system? You know, what if they sue the UCs? It's going to open up lawsuits, so they made a caveat in the law that says you can't sue the UC system if your child is denied based on somebody else getting an illegal status, entry into education. AB 131 is another bill that's coming. It's already passed both the House floor. Senate floor, it's on the governor's desk. That's for public taxpayer funding. For illegals to get public taxpayer funding for our tax dollars to pay for their education in the UC system. Even though they can't work and you're fined $10,000 an employer afterwards, it's just a mess. What I've learned to do is listen to the small talk. It's like throwing spaghetti against the wall and then everybody kind of listens to what they say. Like when they were talking about this DREAM Act bill, or the Nightmare Act bill, when they were talking about that, it's kind of like the students are just the beginning. Think of their parents. And you're like, oh my God. You know? When they talk about the gay lesbian education bill, and they talk about that, and they go, just imagine, you know, a world where teachers or people in authority could not identify someone's gender. I'm sorry, I thought they already had their gender when they were born, but you know, things like this that they throw out there to see what will stick. You got the worst ones are Tom Amiano from San Francisco and Cedillo from Los Angeles. Let's go Steinberg's bill 104, kind of known as card check, which is a union bill to unionize, make it easier to unionize farm labor contractors. The system kind of goes like this. They walk out, they say, you want to be in the union, sign this card. They collect enough cards, they take it to the employer has a say-so, and then the employee, or the union has a say-so, and they kind of get together, and then they have an election in secret ballot. And then that's how it goes. But this card check bill, well, once you sign the card, you're under a collective bargaining agreement. There is no secret ballot vote. They've undermined the secret ballot vote. That was vetoed by the governor just recently. However, a new bill came in at like, I don't know, 1 o'clock in the morning, Saturday night or Friday night, and that new bill has governor's language and approval on it. So there's pretty much a guarantee that he will sign that bill. And it's going to make it easier for unions to organize labor in the field. So I feel really bad that I'm got my back to you guys. I apologize. Okay, so if you guys have heard me speak before, you tell me that I've learned something really quick. The building in Sacramento is ran by the unions, the environmentalists, and the gay, lesbian, transgender, bisexual groups. That's their agenda. At first I thought being a business owner I could go up and share with them, you know, hey, when you pass something like this is what hurts business, it costs jobs. And it took me about 2 days to realize that, oh my God, I'm not getting through. I think they're stupid, you know. And then they're not stupid, they're really smart. They just don't care about those things. They care about union issues, environmentalist issues, and gay, lesbian issues, and that's it. And you can tell by the legislation, and these are just a few. I mean, that's 1 day's worth of journal going around, and I only picked out, what do we got here, Rob, like 30 bills, 40 bills, something like that? Let's go to the next page. Steinberg denies funding for public works projects on charter cities. So there's a lot of charter cities that went around and they had local elections, and the local elections said that there will be no project labor agreements. Meaning you don't have to use union labor to build something. You can use your money cost effectively, you know, the best bidder for the best quality price, that kind of stuff. So instead of losing each city, because the union was on the run because they had lost several cities, because several cities had agreed not to have project labor agreements, they have passed a bill now. They come to the state capitol with their little minions that they own that carry legislation for them, and they have passed a bill now that says any city that bans project labor agreements will not get any more state funding. That's how powerful they are. The Lino Bill 790, and then this is the video that Mr. President sent around. The 790 bill. This bill was primarily about utilities and rates and ratepayers and things like that. So we found that there was a piece of legislation at the very end of this bill that had some really obscure language, like no way does this restrict unrestricted, unreported funds going to construction management corporation funds. I thought, what is that language doing in that bill? Well, this doesn't make any sense. It's not even connected. So then we start researching construction labor management funds, and we put the pieces together with the help of some friends of ours from an organization. So this is what you got, basically. You have unions, or you have a project builder, whether it's a power plant, a Costco, whatever it is, somebody that has to go through CEQA, the California, help me out somebody, Environmental Quality Act, okay? So the union files all these complaints, and here's all the articles from the LA Times that say thousands of complaints are filed, This one particular project had 186 complaints. The day they signed the project labor agreement, all those complaints disappeared. So you get a project labor agreement that says you'll build your facility under union contract, okay? So all those complaints disappear, so now you're getting through CEQA faster. So this is what happened that day on the floor. We were talking about 790, and I said permission to use a prop. Never in a million years did I ever think I'd ever heard the word denied. People have told me that's never happened in the building before. So as I'm reaching for my prop, he said denied. I said denied, I wasn't sure what was going on. What I was going to bring up is this project labor agreement for the Lodi. I picked one for up here in this area. So you have the Lodi Power Emergency Plant, okay? In this project labor agreement, he's required to pay prevailing wage, benefits, all this stuff for the unions, okay? And all these mysterious complaints automatically disappear. Also in this is a labor management trust corporation, okay? Item number 13, within 10 business days of the first hour covered work being performed by the project primary employer shall contribute the sum of $90,000 to the California Construction Labor Management Corporation. We have other project labor agreements that say $350,000, $350,000, $200,000. So you follow me so far? So the unions file these complaints under CEQA. They get them to sign this document. This document has a little clause in there that you'll contribute $90,000 to this organization. You track the tax return for this organization, and it's the California Labor Management Trust Fund, and it is the president or the person that's in charge of that is Bob Balganorth. You research who Bob Balganorth is, and he is the president of the California Builders Trades Council, one of the most powerful unions in the state capital, okay? So when you put all these pieces together, you have extortion by someone who's trying to build something that would rather go through CEQA in 175 days versus 5 years and multi-millions of dollars in lawsuits. They sign this agreement, and under this agreement, they have to write a fat check to this organization that's run by a union guy. So where does the money go? Okay, so then we start tracking where the money goes. The money goes to $1 million to stop Prop 90. Okay, so they are using taxpayer extorted funds made to contribute to an organization that uses it in campaign contributions that are not regulated or reported to the FPPC. Okay, so that was the whole deal on the floor. I was going to prove my point. I was denied. I was shut down. I was ruled out of order. I wasn't allowed to speak. So later on at the kiosk, the speaker, you all know John Perez, he comes up to me. He goes, Ms. Grove, I just wanted to let you know that, we shut your mic off because we think you're insinuating that people in this legislature are bought and paid for by the unions. I said, absolutely. And he had his hand out on my arm like this, and he goes, you're insinuating. I said, absolutely. And he takes his arm off, and he goes, so you are insinuating that people are bought and paid for? I said, not insinuating, flat out statement. Bought and paid for. Bought and paid for. So I make them a little nervous. They were all nervous that day on the floor because, Calderon, he's the floor leader. He comes, the Democratic side, he comes up to me and he goes, Ms. Grove, you have some problems with this SB 90 bill, and I'm not really liking what I hear. And I said, what do you want, what's the deal? And I said, so we got to a conversation, and I was one of the first ones to release my budget. It's your money, you pay for it. If you don't like the way I spend it, call my office and complain. The bottom line, it's your money, you should know what I do with it. So I released my budget. Then they came back and they go, release your calendar. So we're preparing my calendar for release because I don't want people to think I'm an idiot because I go, remind me to call Mom on her birthday. You know, because things move so fast up here. So I'm taking out my personal stuff. And so I told Calderon that day, I said, I'll release my budget and I'm releasing my calendar because you know what, the media is going to be able to connect the dots of when you vote, you meet with a union organization, you carry or vote for their bill, Perez gives you a bump in your budget because, you know, you've done what you're a good little boy supposed to do. And I said, and if the media has a problem connecting the dots, I'm going to connect it for him. And he got all upset and went right outside the speaker's office. So there was a lot of tension on the floor that day. And some of it's, I caused some of it, you know, it's fun. So going back to my bad bills list, which I don't know what I said. I got plenty of them. Oh, here it is. I just want to go back to this for just a few minutes. Because, you know, I don't know if you guys really hear all the stuff that goes on. So, you know, and when we were talking about that charter cities and the PLA bans for project labor agreement bans for cities, the actual words that the jockey on the floor says, we're going to punish those cities who ban project labor agreements. You're going to punish those cities that just want to use their money wisely and choose not to go through extortion tactics like this and pay additional funds? You're going to punish them? Anyway, so that was something that was used. The Leno bill I just discussed, and that was the bill that I got shut down on, ruled out of order that Mr. President here sent out. So late in the evening on Saturday night, we heard AB 101 Perez. Unionization of child care workers.
Oy.
So they have just now unionized 100,000 union dues-paying employees.
Guess who they are?
Who they are?
SEIU.
Yes, SEIU. SEIU. 100,000 workers, child care workers. Now let's imagine this, okay?
$2 million in dues.
You look at like a community connection, okay? People pay $200 a month returning from welfare back to work, and then the state pays $800 a month. Well, now the state's costs are going to go through the roof because you're paying prevailing wage, benefits, pension, you've got all this stuff. It forces union and dues, union dues to be paid for whether they want to be in a union or not. They're mandated to do that. It drives up the cost for child care for low-income families. And let's think about this. For example, a family turns to a grandmother, aunt, a friend. It would force you to pay prevailing wage to your grandma, your aunt, your friend. I mean, when you think about how stupid this law is, it's outrageous. But unions get what unions want. Get a nice building. Hernandez expands prevailing wage requirements to cover hauling and refuge and public works. So when people hauled off the trash, they weren't supposed to be under a collective bargaining agreement or a union. It expands to that area. So flip the page over. Delio fitted sheets. Did everybody hear about the fitted sheet bill? Okay. So we don't have nothing else to do. We don't have a balanced budget. Jobs are leaving the state at 4.9 employers per week, and we are legislating elastic in sheets and bed sheets. Estimated to cost the industry $4 billion, okay, to replace all the sheets. So the guy gets up and he tells a story, and it's because it's, his mom is a domestic worker, and she's been doing it. She has back problems and all this stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm sitting here thinking that guy has never made a bed. Because how many of you guys would rather throw a flat sheet on and tuck the corners in than fight with the fourth corner of a fitted sheet on a bed?
Amen.
You guys are like pulling your mattress back, It's outrageous. I mean, the guy's never made a bed before. There's no way. So that bill. The Blue Ribbon Task Force to establish a state bank like South Dakota or North Dakota, the Socialist Bank. You guys got that one? Students that are illegal immigrants that serve in student government get all their money back. AB 887 Adkins, this was interesting to me because I'm an employer. Employers can't discriminate against race, religion, age. There's 8 protected classes. The new one is used to be sexual expression. Since that one was a little weird, they changed it to gender expression. So what is that? So, I'm on the floor, question the author without objection, because it's always without objection or granted. Well, what is gender expression? What is that? Miss Rose being hostile, point of order. I'm not going to be hostile, just what is it? They can't tell you. So my comment was, yeah, I didn't think so, and I'm sure some attorney will tell you someday what that means. Because some employer will have to fight that all the way to the Supreme Court, because some idiot came in and exposed himself, and he says, what's my sexual expression? I have a right to do that. You can't discriminate against me. It's just ridiculous. They don't even think about it from an employer's perspective. Okay, so welfare, we'll talk about welfare. Felons can now get food stamps, or what they call CalFresh. Yeah, it's not food stamps anymore. I sit on that committee and they tried to come to me and go, can you put this on consent calendar? And I said, what is it? And they said, changing the name from food stamps to CalFresh. It's revenue neutral. It doesn't cost any money. And I said, well, if I change my policies in my business and I have to recopy everything from my 7 offices, I think it costs money. I think there's an expenditure here. Oh, I didn't think about that. Well, okay, let's think about that before we put this on a consent calendar. So, felons can now get food stamps or CalFresh. Felons can get that. No more fingerprinting. So, Ted, wants to go down to Los Angeles and apply for welfare benefits, and he's already got welfare benefits in Kern County, so they say, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Costa, you've already got welfare benefits, so you can't apply because we fingerprinted you. So we sorry, Ted. Okay. So we fingerprinted you. So they say that it doesn't deter enough cost. There's not enough fraud caught by fingerprinting. And I get on the floor and I'm like, hello, have you ever heard of a deterrent? Deterrent. You don't go in and get fingerprinted because you know you're going to get caught. So therefore you don't duplicate your application for benefits. Anyways, it's degrading too for the applicant. So they don't want to fingerprint you. Let's see. CalFresh, Alejo, increase the workers' comp. A lot of workers' comp cost increases. As a matter of fact, everything that I worked on with then Assembly Member Kevin McCarthy back in the day for workers' comp was unraveled before my very eyes in one committee. And so, with caveats to punish employers for their free ride that they've had this entire time. So they think. Let's see, SB 535 is it's the new cap and trade system, which increases a lot of costs for cap and trade. Earlier this year, I introduced a bill called AB 333, and that was really important to me because it was the only bill that got out of Ledge Council, and it was the only bill, and because I know that when I prayed over this whole thing about being a legislator, God had given me Jeremiah 33:3, or 33, which is a promise of restoration for our state. That's the only reason I'm doing what I'm doing, because I believe there's a promise of restoration for our state. So anyways, AB 333 comes up, and what it was is just to tell CARB that, look, we know you don't know what you're doing. Why don't you just wait? Because you're not going to be able to give any employer lead time. They're going to have to buy equipment, train, install the equipment, train people on the equipment to make it work, to be able, you don't know how you're going to distribute the actual carbon credits. You don't know how you're going to be able to trade carbon credits. You don't know what you're doing. Basically, why don't you just wait and delay it a year? No, we know what we're doing. So we get an email today. They are recruiting people that know anything about the cap and trade system because they don't know what they're doing. Okay, they don't know what they're doing. So that bill is to make that a little bit stronger. So SB 568 on the 3rd page or 4th page, no polystyrofoam. So polystyrofoam. So I have Pactive in my district. They sent me letters this thick. Please, Ms. Grove, save my job. Please, Ms. Grove, save my job. Ms. Grove, I've worked here for 12 years, save my job. And you go in there and they want to outlaw styrofoam. Only in the state of California. Not in the world, not in the nation, not in Arizona, not in Colorado, not in Texas, not in China, not anywhere but California. And that's going to save the ocean. Okay? These people are really serious about this. They've got these photographs where styrofoam products wash up on the beach, and my thought was, well, thank God it floats and it goes up on the beach and you have people that clean it up. What if it just sunk to the bottom of the ocean? You'd never know it was there, right? So polystyrofoam, that is actually, it was passed on the Senate, passed the Senate, and it's held right now in the Assembly, so we're hoping that they don't have enough votes to get that out. Because there are a lot of Pactive plants. There's a Pactive plant in Redwood City, Los Angeles, and Bakersfield. So I'm sure the legislators that are in Los Angeles and up in the Bay Area are getting hit with the same letters I got hit with. And it's a job killer bill. Solorio, another union bill, requires a loan in the amount not to exceed $4,300,000 made for the Uninsured Employers Benefit Trust Fund to the State Public Works Enforcement. It's just basically giving them money to fund their pension programs when there's no money. There's no money. Buchanan, AB 900, she's in a contested redistricted seat. So what do? They give her the big jobs bill that's going to come out. This is where they've created all these jobs. And I heard Steinberg was on the radio this morning saying what a beautiful session we've had and we've created all these jobs. Don't believe the guy. Yeah. So they gave her to carry the bill. So basically it's if the governor likes you and picks you, you spend over $1 million or $1 billion. Is it $1 million or $1 billion? It's a very, very big project. Okay. I don't have the exact dollar number here. 100 million, thank you. So the governor likes you, you spend over $100 million, and you use union or prevailing wage people and the Union Trades Council, you can get your project through CEQA in 175 days. Otherwise, you're in that 3 to 5 year track. So those are the things that you have to get, but that's the bill. And it has to be LEED certified. Now what the difference is on LEED certified, you can't get LEED certified till the project is finished. So how do you know that you're going to be LEED certified when the project starts, when it doesn't get certified LEED till it's finished? So the bill makes no sense. But anyways, she'll be able to go out and tout that she's the big job creator bill and she carried all this because hopefully she's thinking it'll wipe out all her horrible votes that she's had in the past that have lined herself with the Democratic Party. Training requirements, I mean, it just goes on and on. And you know, the only voice that you have outside of that legislature right now is the ballot initiative process, okay, the initiative process. You don't like what they do with, you know, the marriage amendments, you support Prop 8. You don't like what they do on SB 48, which is that gay lesbian education tool or bill that they passed, and I'll talk about that in a second. Then you go to a ballot initiative, and you go to stopsb48.com and you sign a signature or a petition, and then that allows the people to vote on it. So they understand that even controlling the governorship in both houses and all the constitutional officers, they still have a problem because dang, those people, they're still speaking, you know. And I got up one day over one of these initiative bills, and I said, you know, I realize y'all want to control your subjects, but this is a democracy, you know. It's just ridiculous. They have, they're going to charge you $2,000 to apply to gather a ballot petitions, to gather signatures, when now there's like a $25 fee. It's going to be $2,500 or $2,000. They have a bill, it's a Gatto bill. He's the guy that when our paychecks disappeared for a couple of weeks, his family was going to starve and he wasn't going to be able to feed his kids. Anyways, so that guy introduced a piece of legislation that said that when you guys gather your signatures and you've got all your signatures and you've got your title and summary and you're getting ready to go to the ballot, you have to send it back to the state legislature for them to amend your bill or your ballot initiative, to amend it to how they see fit. The other thing is that paid signature gatherers, there's a fine if you have paid signature gatherers. Let me see if I can find that. One bill moves the initiative referendum measures for June to November, okay, so that we won't have any June ballot initiatives, which splits union money on the conflict, and they think the Obama vote will bring more people out to fight the things that they want to fight. And then, where's that one about funding? Hold on just a minute. It'll take, you'll get fined $25,000, the person who's sponsoring the ballot initiative. Say it's like on Prop 23, certain people had sponsored that. So if they pay them by signature gather like a bounty, then there'll be a $25,000 fine and $1,000 fine for the signature gatherer. What they want you to do is pay the signature gatherers by the hour instead of by each signature that they get. And then also each paid signature gatherer in 30-point font, mind you, 30-point font, will have to wear a badge that says, I am a paid signature gatherer or a volunteer signature gatherer, and I'm paid by, I mean, my God, our signature gatherer is going to be wearing a sandwich board, you know, that says, I am a paid signature gatherer in 30-point font. If they don't wear the font size, the exact font size signature, if you go out and gather 1,000 signatures and you come back from your lunch and you forget to put your badge on and somebody comes up and catches you, they can disqualify all those signatures prior for with no disregard for the intent of the voter. It's just a mess. I mean, they're trying to just eliminate your voices. Back to another union bill. I got to pick on Ted. Sorry. So Ted has a contracting company and it has landscaping or janitorial or window washing or food services. And he has a contracting company and he loses his contract because he has lousy employees. And I pick up the contract. I have to hire his employees. Yeah, I have to hire his employees. That's a salarial bill. I have to hire his employees. I mean, so they're telling you who to hire, who you can fire, what you can pay them, how you can do. I mean, they're in our business way too much. In our business way too much. But we've got solutions because you know what? I've been going around the state and I've been speaking to people like you, all the way from the southern end of the border to the northern end of the border and everybody else in between. And I think this is my second time speaking to some of you. I've challenged you to bring friends. When myself, Tim Donnelly, or Brian Jones come and speak, I challenge you to bring friends. Because you know what we're going to do? We're going to get them out of the building and make them live under the rules that they create. Yeah. No more career politicians. There will be people who have owned a business that can leave for a few months every 2 years to run a part-time legislature. They'll live under the rules they create, and they'll be a little careful about the bills that they pass. We're hoping that the legislation will be able to have a constitutional amendment for 90 days, with 90 days every 2 years with a constitutional amendment that says no stupid legislation, I can't say stupid. No stupid legislation until you pass a budget, you know, so you have a balanced budget. Texas does it, several other states do it. We gotta get these people out of the building and make them live under the rules that they create. We really, really do. And so that's our goal, is put that on the ballot in 2012. So I'm gonna be coming back to you guys and I'm going, look, I need you, and reduce their pay. Pay them $600 a month. They don't need to be in that building. They really don't. No more career politicians. Get them out of the dang building. I had a Alejo come up to me. He's the guy that I antagonize on this side of the aisle for me. So he comes up and he goes, I heard about your part-time legislature, and I want you to know that I'll still be up here. I go, I know. And he goes, you're not changing anything. I go, oh, contraire, my dear. I said, I will mitigate your damage to only 90 days every 2 years, not 8 months every year. So that already helps. Even if the same people are in the building, they're in there for a less amount of time. Right now we're on break. We've been on break since Saturday. You guys are free till January 5th. Praise God. You know what I mean? You are free till January 5th. No more of these stupid things. I'm going to take questions in a minute, but I want to share one more thing. There's this new thing I learned. It's called gut and amend. If you don't know what that is, it's kind of like for the last 5 months, this bill has been about immunizations, about school-age immunizations, and then they line out or gut the immunization part on both ends, and they insert a part about project labor agreements. So it's not about immunizations anymore. It's called gut and amend. And that last night of session, there were several gut and amend bills. Something that was about something else is now gutted and amended to read. And I think that's unconstitutional, because you can't amend, but you cannot replace. And they have replaced everything. I mean, I take a bill about immunizations, immunizing school-age children, and turned into a project labor agreement bill. It's just not right. And I brought samples of those too. But so gut and amend, and that's something that, those things have got to be stopped. And you know what they do is they bring things over with this new language, and they go, we're recessing for a committee for public comment. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. We go to the committee room, and they're like, anybody here to speak from the public? No, no one's here. Seeing none, we move this bill to the floor. I mean, it's just outrageous what they do. So it's just outrageous. So there is hope. Put them in the building. I'm serious, part-time. Get them out of there. Get them out of that building. Stop this stupid stuff, especially when it costs about $20,000 to $25,000 to run a bill through that building. Get them out of there. And those unions have so much control. I've already told you the extortion that they do for the unions, and that's why they shut me down on the floor, is because I was going to just bring that on the floor. But a lot of news media people have picked it up. I get to go on Channel Fox or Fox News tomorrow, not nationwide, but Los Angeles. And we're going to expose them for what they are. And it's, they don't like it, and I don't care. Yes, sir.
Good.
Let's say that you get this ballot initiative done, you get all of the signatures, I know a little bit, put the cameras down, for goodness sake. And you get all of your signatures and everything goes through, you're going to need money to sell this thing. And you know that all of the unions are going to get together with all of those politicians and come up with $1 gazillion to fight it. Do you have financial backers on this after you get it past the summary and judgment or something?
We're raising money. I have ballot petition. I have response cards. So if you're independently wealthy and you would like to write me a check, I'm happy to do that. But I do, and we are raising money. We are raising money for the ballot initiative. We've established our committee, and we are raising money. I've been down south and met with a few Orange County folks that are willing to help. And then also, I have some very large donors in the Bakersfield area that are willing to help as well. So I am raising money for that.
But it's going to take a heck of a campaign to, I mean, I think most of us, people like us, would be very receptive to it, but the negative stuff that's going to come out from the
There's going to be negative stuff that comes out, but in the there was a poll in the Los Angeles Times, and the Los Angeles poll, it was 76%. You guys help me out?
LA 76% favored a part-time legislature, in Kern County 94.
And 94, and then in San Francisco it was 83.
Wow.
So, I mean, we have like a 12% approval rating. I mean, it's 12%. They said that on the last night. Somebody goes, we have a 10% approval rating. Somebody stands up and I, point of order, it's 12%. I'm like, oh, that's something proud of. So, you have questions? I'd be glad to, yes, sir.
Is there any way we can make the SIU a poster child for the next election?
I would like to do that. The
Can you do
SEIU.
that? Yeah, because a lot of the Republican legislature are absolutely scared to death. I think, I call them state workers, Republicans, who are afraid to stand up to the FCU. Can we get legislatures to say, look, sure, every time they do something wrong, advertise how corrupt this union is, how much the state workers and other people are against this union, including Democrats?
It costs a lot of money to fight the unions, it really does, because they have, I mean, think about it. Think of all the teachers, the dues that they pay, it's millions upon millions of dollars a year, just in our teaching for the CTA, whether you want to pay it or not. SEIU members, millions and millions and millions of dollars with all these state employees. They're almost at, total state employees are almost at like in the high 40s, right? They're almost, between welfare and state employees, you know, they've got almost 50% of the vote. So, there, if it's a lot of money, it is a lot of money,
But it has to be done.
but it needs to be done, and it is a lot of money to fight the unions.
Otherwise, we can enjoy this legislation forever.
Yeah, we got, the bottom line is that even with all the influence of the unions or influence from whatever trial lawyers or whatever the influence comes from, get them out of the dang building. That's the solution I see as a business owner that's ran a business for 20 years. Get them out of the building. Mitigate our damages for 90 days every 2 years.
Isn't the best answer the Paycheck Protection Initiative right now, and if you want to do something to be involved with?
I've actually raised money for the Paycheck Protection Initiative. We've raised money for it. We've sent money in. Ed Ring, I think, is the guy that's in charge of that. And so we have sent money in. We've had local donors pay for ballot signatures, and that would be really good. Well, if this bill passes that moves everything to November 2012, it would not be June, it would be November. And you know, if you guys can help gather signatures or contribute to that, that is an actual ballot initiative now. And what it does is it cuts off funding from the unions. So basically, instead of the state being a facilitator, me taking your state employees' money, taking the money out of their check and then writing a check to the unions, it eliminates the state from being a facilitator. So therefore, I have to call you and go, you didn't pay your dues, can you please pay your dues? You're behind on your dues, can I make sure you pay your dues? And kind of like a gym membership, they automatically get a deduction from your checking account, but if you have to mail it in every month, you might skip a few months. And so it actually, in other states where this has happened, it's reduced union funding dramatically.
Ms. Shannon, does that mean anybody can collect those signatures and put that initiative on the ballot?
Anybody within your county, right now, because there's no restrictions that I know of, because none of these bills have been signed, they wouldn't take effect until January. But you can't cross county collect though. So like if I'm from Kern County and I brought a petition up here and I had all you guys sign it and I signed it as a Kern County person, I would not, those signatures would be invalid because you have to be within your own county. And you have to be a registered voter to collect the signatures.
But if I turn it over to somebody in that county, they can sign it?
They can turn it out, yes. Yes.
I've been places where a single individual had several different things asking for signatures. He says, if you're in this county, sign this one. If you're in this county, sign that one.
Those are paid signature gatherers. And they are paid, like the Amazon tax, the repeal of the Amazon tax, Amazon jumped on board, got a referendum started. So people would piggyback on with the Amazon people so that if Amazon was paying $3 to $5 a signature or whatever they paid and somebody else could pay, you're standing out there anyway, I'll give you $1 or $2 to gather mine. And you're standing out there anyways. So that's probably what was going on where you had your signature. I can't guarantee it, but that's pretty much. There is
so if you're not a volunteer, if you get paid, you can work for more than one county when you're sitting in one. For example,
Yes.
in Sacramento County, you can also collect Placer County people as long as you give them a different form.
I don't
Yes.
know about that, so you'll have
Yes.
to ask. Yes, he says yes.
Yeah, that's if you're paid, but if you're volunteer.
No, if you're a
you can't.
volunteer, you can collect signatures from any county. You just have to have them all in a separate form.
They can't be combined or cross
On the same.
county.
So all you need is, here's this county, here's this county, here's this county, and go for it.
Along with that ballot initiative is the repeal of SB 48, Stop SB 48. That's the gay, lesbian, transgender, bisexual education bill, okay? That's the bill that's gonna hold our public school system, our students that are held captive in the public school system. You know, our kids are held captive there 6 to 8 hours a day, and it's gonna hold them captive and they are gonna be taught about the way people have sex. There's no other way to put it. That's all there is to it. I mean, this person is gonna be recognized because of the way that person had sex, period, end of discussion. And that is not something that I think should be taught in our school systems. And you know what about the teachers who don't want to teach that as well? You know, and parents can't opt out. Government is telling you, you can't tell your kids not to go. You cannot tell, I mean, government is telling you what to do with your kids. 12-year-olds can get sexually transmitted disease treatment without your parental consent. Government is way involved and too involved in our lives. Way involved, way overreaching. They need to get out, back up, and go away. Next question, sorry. Yes, sir.
Shannon, I had a question as far as when you campaigned. I looked up the numbers from the primary and when you ran for assembly.
Yes.
They're outstanding. And the thing is, my question is, for candidates, especially women, what advice do you have as far as recruiting female candidates, but also what worked for you that you think that wouldn't work for a male when you ran? 'Cause that's kind of like a gridlock on that right now, recruiting females.
You know, I think, you know, I spent a lot of time in prayer. I was not looking for a career in politics, so I don't know if you could use me an example like that. I spent a lot of time in prayer. I wasn't looking for a career in politics. I'd served my country. I'm a business owner. I've toured the missions field. I've worked with nonprofits. So when you look at recruiting candidates, we've started a thing called Fresh Pack, and there's myself, Tim Donnelly, Brian Jones, and Mike Morrell. And we're trying to get 2 more freshmen involved. And what we're doing is we're calling people, we're doing a phone call sweep. So we might pick up the phone and call business leaders, community leaders, church leaders, pastors. You know, Pastor, who would you recommend for somebody to run for office? Oh, you know, I don't know, Mr. Holland, you know, I've heard a lot of good things about him, and so somebody else might say Ted Costin, somebody else might say somebody else. But eventually, after you make all those blanket phone calls in that particular area with business leaders, community leaders, soccer coaches, you know, church leaders, one name keeps showing up, right? And then so you start, then you call those people back and you go, you know, I know you gave me Ted's name, but would you support Mr. Holland? Would you support, you know, this person? And, oh yeah, I didn't think about them, but yeah, I'd support them. So then you narrow it down to that one individual that you get the most votes for in the community where they're at. And then you say, okay, if we got Mr. Holland to run, would you consider endorsing him? Yeah, I would. Would you consider contributing to him? Yes, I would. So you go through this whole process, and then you approach him and you say, look, you know, have you ever thought about running for office? And he goes, no way, I don't think I can get the support. Would it surprise you that we spoke to 500 people in your community and they're willing to support you? You know what I mean? So you guys have to do the groundwork. If you've got a candidate that you're looking at, but that candidate has to be willing to work hard too. I mean, when I set my mind to something, I try to do it, and that's why this legislature thing is really hard, because I'm not a good failure. And I'm not having a good time here. The only way I have a good time is to antagonize the speaker or Luis. So, you know, I do. I'll tell you a story about Luis in just a minute. But so if you find someone, if there's somebody in your mind that you think is a good female candidate, then start getting, and then go and approach her after you've gotten, you know, 10 pastors of major churches, and you know that think, and then you tell them, look, this is what people think of you. Because when they came to me and they said, you know, do you know these people would support you? I'm like, you're kidding me. No, I know them, but you know, and it was so easy for me to pick up the phone afterwards and go, hey, would you endorse me? And they said yes. So that's how Kern County does it. And you have to understand that I walked into 30 years of an establishment, I guess you'd call it, I don't even know what you call it, but where donors know when Congressman Kevin McCarthy endorses someone, that's who they endorse. When it's a unique thing. You know, they have the YRs and central committees, and everybody works as a team, and they have a crop that they grow up, I guess you'd say, to run for office. So they know who the civic leaders are, who the community leaders are, who the movers and shakers, who those people respect, and you have to have those people respect, you know, you as a candidate. So I would start laying the groundwork for, if you have somebody, then go to her sphere of influence, find out where she goes to church, where she does business, all these things, and start asking people about her. And you might run into a thing where you might think that person's great, and they go, oh my God, she's had 10 affairs, and she's done this and done that, you don't know anything about her, and yada, yada, yada. Then you need to back off that candidate, because they're not, you know, those things will come out. Believe me, everything comes out in a campaign. I am not a college-educated graduate. That came out in the campaign. She's not qualified to run for office. She didn't graduate from college. And I'm like, wow, I've served in the military, I ran a multi-million-dollar business, and I'm not qualified. But,
Speaker, though.
You can be speaker, John Perez.
Perez is not.
oh yeah, because he didn't graduate, yeah. So I have to share a little story about Alejo. So Alejo is supposed to be what they call a mod Democrat, right? And he sits next to me. Like, my seatmate is down low, but across the aisle right here is Alejo, Luis Alejo. He's with Watsonville. So anyways, one day, the speaker comes up and goes, I need you to vote for this. And he goes, no, sir, no, sir, no, sir, I can't. And he goes, I need you to go up, Luis. And he goes, sir, I just can't. Go get Carter. And he goes, I'll get Carter after I get you, but I need you to vote for this. It was the letting the AB9, or what is the one about getting prisoners out of jail? SB9. So SB, there's so many bills I can't even remember all of them. So SB9. So anyways, he goes, I need you to vote for this, Luis, come on. And he goes, sir, I just can't. He's like, sir, I just can't. So this goes on for a few minutes, and he goes, okay, sir. And he pushes the button. And he walks away, and I text the opponent that I've got running against him, the candidate I got running against him. And I looked at my phone, and I looked at him, and I said, wow, Rob Bernowski wouldn't have voted that way on this bill. And he goes, I don't vote the way that Rob Bernowski would want me to vote. And I go, I know you vote exactly like the speaker tells you to. So he gets up, and I have my phone. So he gets up, and he runs across the room, and he's a little guy, and the speaker's real big, so he's looking up at the speaker, and he's just talking, and he's pointing at me and everything, and I'm taking pictures with my iPhone. So he comes back over, and he releases the no vote, and he gets off of it, or the yes vote, and he gets off of it. And I go back to my phone, and I showed him the picture, and I go, you know what this is? And he goes, what? And I go, that's you changing your vote after the speaker gave you permission. And he goes, just shut up, Grove. So it's fun just to irritate him. He's about this tall, bless his heart, you know. And so when he gets on my nerves and he goes on and on, one time he goes, I was talking, and he grabs my arm and he goes, shh, the speaker is speaking. And I go, whatever. Anyways, and I kept on with my conversation, and he goes, I can't believe you're talking when the speaker is speaking. And he just kept going on and on. It's like a little chihuahua. It's like, just like this. And so I just stood up. And when I stood up, I looked down at him, and I go, leave me alone. And so it's just fun to antagonize. I mean, you gotta have fun, because it's, you know.
Are you picking on the little guys? Is that what
I pick on little guys.
Okay.
Next question. Sorry. Anybody else? That's a fun story. Anybody ask me. I'll answer anything. I don't know.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I believe our governor said that administrators shouldn't make more money than the governor. I believe that was him stating that he was sounding like he was going to put a cap on administrative pay, and it really perked my ears up. And I was wondering if that was a hollow threat that didn't really mean nothing, because Tim Donnelly got him to admit that unions were a big part of his paycheck. Or was it something that's actually going to happen? Because I mean,
I think that all came about because he hired some administrator person to make, and the guy made more than he did. But he put some cap on administrators for state pay. But what they did is anybody who works over that dollar amount, they ran through county supervisors that don't have a limit on their pay, and then they're contracted back to the governor.
I got a good one. The SRA wants to have a pay raise, you should advertise about this. So their salaries for the state workers are getting less money, and they're raising their dues. We need that.
This guy doesn't like the SEI either.
Because I think it should be the SRA is like a
Two more
county.
questions. Go ahead. Anybody else? Anybody? I'll answer anything. Yes.
I spoke with some of my fellow students at Sac State University, and they said that they didn't think that our administrators should make as much money as the teachers because they don't even teach class.
Our administrators make a tremendous amount of money. There are people in that building that make over $100,000 a year to be a chief of staff. Okay, 150,000, it's all online. You can go look at it. I printed it and gave it to the newspaper. Legislators make $95,000 a year plus about roughly $50,000 a year tax-free. That's like per diem, and I mean, it's tax-free. I mean, and get this, you get it when you're not even here. You know, you get it, like you go home on Thursday, and you get it Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, even when you're not here. I donate mine back. Those days that I'm not here, I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back. I'm just saying that, you know, the first time I did, I sent a letter to the speaker, this abuse of taxpayer money, and I refuse this money, and da-da-da-da. And then somebody goes, well, that just means the speaker gets to spend it. And I'm like, give me my money back. So now we just donate that money to people throughout the district. I have 5 people that make a decision and tell me where to donate that money. So that money that is not really my money. Don't get me wrong, I use that money when I'm up here because I have to establish a second residence. I'm part of the trailer caucus. I got a trailer in an RV park. So, okay, another question?
One more question. One more.
Come on, is it here? No?
Anybody back here with a question?
Nobody? I'm looking.
Those guys up here.
You guys are easy, man. Go ahead.
Shannon, fundraising, can you give us like the fundraising for dummies, like local level?
You know, fundraising, you gotta ask. That's the biggest thing, you have to ask. You can't assume, you can't just beat around the bush, you have to ask. You know, I'm running for state assembly, I could really use your help, will you help me? Can you give me $100? Sure. Sure. Okay, you just wait. And you wait, and when you ask, you wait. The best fundraising mechanism that I had was people had teas or coffees at their house. So she would have a coffee at her house and she'd invite 10 or 20 of her closest friends. I'd give my speech and then I'd say, I need your help. Here's my reply cards. I can take from $100 to $3,900. And then I also need you to have, because you guys all came, and I need to know which one of you guys are going to have a tea for me at your house. And then I went to 2 or 3 teas every night, and I met a tremendous amount of people. I did 7 days a week. And I met, it was like from 5, what was it, Hob, do you remember? 5 to 6, and then 6:30 to 7:30, and then 8 to 9. And I went every night, and I went to, and you pick people that have, I picked people that lived in Stockdale Country Club, all those places that are very nice neighborhoods. And then even in places that weren't very nice neighborhoods, I still walked out. Every one of those fundraising events that I did, those little ones like those teas, sometimes I'd walk out with $10,000 and sometimes I'd walk out with 500. But every night was a success. Because you were in a small group, you were personalized, there were fewer people in here than what are here. Some had 40 people, some had 20. And it was kind of like an Amway scheme. Not scheme. It's a bad word. Bad word. It was an Amway thing. You got your next contact or lead from somebody else. The other thing is that you host an event. So you get all of you guys are from this area. Name one person that's a great, like a community leader that you would all know. Like if I said Ray December in Bakersfield, everybody would know who that is. So name somebody here that you guys would all know.
Ted Costa.
Who? Ted Costa. Okay, so Ted Costa.
Tom McClintock.
Tom McClintock, okay? Somebody that's got money that lives, who's somebody that has money that donates to campaigns, and he donates to...
Buzz Oates.
Who? Him, what's his name?
Buzz Oates.
Buzz Oates. So everybody know who Buzz Oates is?
Yeah.
Okay? So you get Buzz Oates and you call and you say, hey Buzz, would you endorse me? This is what I'm doing. Yes, I'll endorse you. By the way, will you have an event at your house for me? I'd really appreciate it. Or would you hold an event at the country club that you have or you're a member of, and would you invite 25 of your closest friends? And then you go in, you give your spiel, you make 25 contacts, and then you contact them afterwards and you say, hi, I met you at Buzz's event. Can I talk to you? Can I take you to coffee? Can I take you to tea? And then you ask, but you have to ask. And then go, another thing you can do is go on, there's a donor list where you can get in areas where, people that have donated to campaigns before. And the first thing I did after the primary, I went straight for the people that donated to my opponent, and I built a relationship with them. And, if I started with the people who donated $3,900, and then I went down the list. You donated $3,900 to my opponent. Hi, I'm Shannon. I'd like to meet you. Can I take you out to coffee or tea? I know you supported my opponent, but I'm going to be your representative. Can we chit-chat? And then you make a phone call, and then you send them a donor card, and then you call them and say, hey, you get my card. I really like you to support me. Can I count on you? Can I count on you? And you wait, and they respond. You just wait. That's the biggest thing. People are very uncomfortable when you ask them for money, and you just ask. You have to ask. You have to ask. You have to say, can you give me, I know you maxed out $3,900. Can I count on you for $2,000? Can I count on you for $2,000? And then you wait, and they go, all right, or they go, sure, or they go, well, I can't do 2. Can you do 1,000? Okay, I'll do 1,000. I very rarely do I have anybody tell me no, but you have to ask, and you have to be willing to push the ask. Okay? Yes, sir.
That 2-week pay cut, did that go to the Supreme Court?
Oh, I don't know. Sorry, I don't know. I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, nobody should be getting paid right now because we did not pass a balanced budget. It is not balanced. It is not balanced. And so nobody should be getting paid right now. It's not balanced.
Ms. Grove, thank you very much.
Sorry.
Can anybody see why she's one of the most feared Republicans in Trenton? By the way, I was just kidding about calling me Mr. President. You can call me that.
I go, hey Tim, he's like, they call me Mr. President. I'm like, oh, okay. I follow the rules.
I believe that she said she'd be around for a while. We don't have that much on the agenda tonight. I do have some good news to report while you were sitting here. The Republican Party scored 2 victories in Nevada District 2, New York District 9.
Yes! Yes!
For anyone who's unaware, New York District 9 was previously represented by Anthony Weiner. And before that, by Charles Schumer. So it's a very democratic district. The Republicans have had 2
This is the
successful.
first time since I think 1923 or 26 that a Republican has held that seat.
It is a bellwether seat.
Oh, yeah, bellwether seat. This is a very significant election. Liberal jurisdictions, both the Republicans, they can't say, yeah, victory.
So, just in case Shannon didn't make y'all feel good enough, there's more good news tonight. So, I do have, Josh, I have one other sign-up sheet to pass around. Hopefully you all got a chance to look at the first one we passed around. This one is maybe even more important. Shannon talked very eloquently about the need for us to be doing the grassroots work, not just the grassroots fun and exciting coming to meetings and eating pizza, but the grassroots work. That's really what the SRA is supposed to be about. The CRA is supposed to be about. It's what we're here for. We're the volunteer arm of this party. We should be doing things on a pretty regular basis to get the word out to our friends and our neighbors. To that end, starting in 2 weeks, and I wanted to start this next week with their big convention. A lot of you are going to the Republican convention. Hopefully you can go to the Republican convention in LA. It's a good time. It's a good thing to do. So starting in 2 weeks, over the weekend, we are going to start precinct walking every single week. And there's no elections right now, so we're not precinct walking for candidates. We're precinct walking to find like-minded people. We're precinct walking to find precinct captains who will be there for us when there is an election. And we're precinct walking, frankly, to find candidates, to find those people that Shannon talked about, who are potentially, respectable members of their community, who want to get involved, who want to do something, don't know how, they've never been approached by activists before. We're going to not wait for them to come to us. We are going to go to them, and we're going to go find them. And so the SRA, as you know, we've been trying to formulate a strategy for local elections, for local nonpartisan seats, and we've started to focus our attentions primarily on school districts in the Sacramento area, and further focus from school districts to those school districts where we can not only win, but take a solid majority of the districts and begin to make a real impact on some of the things that happen in Sacramento County. So we've narrowed it down to about 4 school districts that we really want to have a major impact in. We don't want to just go shoot buckshot and have a couple people elected throughout the entire county. We want to go in, take a couple districts, and overwhelm them, and find a couple of really good candidates, and overwhelm these districts, take them over, and begin to show people what a Republican-controlled district looks like, particularly in a school district, because it's so important.
I spoke when I was doing voter registration for the Republican Party, and I spoke to a gal that sat next to me who I was talking about running for school district, trying to see what the situation was, and she said she discouraged me, and the discouraging part was that she said her husband, who had been a principal and then became a part of the school board, he was frustrated not only by the fact that he was the minority on the board, but that their hands are tied by the laws of California.
There are some instances where a school board's hands are tied, but his experience being frustrated as the minority plays perfectly into what I'm saying, because we don't want to just win 1 seat on a board. We don't want to win 1 seat on 20 boards. We want to win 4 seats on 1 board. We want to take over some of these boards so that we don't have people being frustrated that they're in the minority. We don't have lone voices in the wind, crying out and not being heard. We want to have majorities in these districts, and there's a handful of districts where we can do that. even in some areas that are not necessarily registered Republican, but some districts where we have some good candidates, some good opportunity, and a handful of seats that are open this year, where we can get a couple of good candidates and run a good race and really take the teachers union by surprise and unseat a couple of their pawns and really take over some of these districts. So we've identified some districts. We're going to be going in, one second, we've got a couple candidates in 2 weeks, or less than 2 weeks, the week after this Saturday. We're going to begin in earnest our efforts to really begin to reach out to the community and have a ground game in place so that come November, or come next election cycle, before November, August, September, we're ready with a plan, we're ready with precinct captains, we have people on the ground ready to make a difference in these districts.
I was just wondering if you're in a position at this time to name what districts you're targeting.
I don't have it in front of me, but we are targeting the Thomas Unified School District, where we have a tremendous candidate in Ryan Hirsch, who many of you have met. Ryan is a young guy who came within 20 votes last time around in his election for that district. We're going to go out and recruit. Not only Ryan is running again, I think I can announce that safely without letting the cat out of the bag. Ryan's running again, and we're going to recruit one, maybe 2 other candidates for him in that district, and we're going to be starting in the Natomas district where he is. He's got a couple of key precincts where he did pretty well last time, and we're going to try to go in and develop a ground game for him. Another school district is Center, where we have a pretty good start, and a couple of members on the Center School Board, and then there's 2 others that I don't have in front of me right now. So there are yeah.
Are you going to send around a sign-up sheet so that we can sign up to do that?
That should be going around right now.
Oh, okay.
So there's 2 things that I want on this sign-up sheet. We have, like I said, about 10 or 11 days, Saturday after next, we will be doing a coordinated precinct walk in the handful of districts that we've worked out with Ryan in the Thomas Unified School District. And there's 2 things that we're trying to do there. Well, 3 things. We're going to be registering new voters if they're not registered. Registering Republicans. We're going to be telling them what's going on in their area. We want them to sign up for our email list, for SRA's email list. We'd like them to know what SRA is and get them involved in activism. And we'd also like to find out if they're ready, or potentially ready, to be a candidate next November. And short of that, if they're ready to be a precinct captain or get involved in the campaign. So that's 2 things. That's one thing. The second thing is that I would like you all to sign up here tonight to be precinct captains. Anybody who doesn't know, Sue Blake back there is our county party chairwoman, and I know that they are the Central Committee obviously is a Sacramento County's Republican organization. They are the grassroots organization. We do as much as we can to support them. I know they are desperately coveting precinct captains to be responsible to the Republican Party, to be responsible for their entire precinct, which isn't that big. It's not that hard, depending on where you live especially. Like my folks live in South Potomas. You guys can be precinct captains and probably only walk about 7 Republican houses, unfortunately. We could change that, but so obviously some districts are precincts are better than others, but generally a precinct is 300 to 500 houses, and it's something you can do over a course of a couple of days. And you can be responsible for that precinct to make sure that all the Republicans in that area know who the Republicans are on every ticket when they get out to vote, and also to make sure that we've got a presence with those people who could be crossover votes. Just to know that we've got precincts covered. There are 1,100 precincts in Sacramento County, and if just one person from each one of those took responsibility for their own neighborhood, the results in November will be tremendous, and I think Sue can attest to that. So I really, really want this organization to be an example to all other volunteer organizations in terms of taking care of our own community first and then going out into other communities and getting other people involved. So that's the sign-up sheet that's going around for either one of those 2 things. If you're willing to come out the weekend after next in Natomas and really help to get started in that district, and also if you're willing to take your own precinct, and we'll look it up for you, The county party has access to all the information to just take your address and put it in the system and figure out which precinct you are and